Okay, we are back and no action is necessary or was taken in executive session. We're on to number 3 of our agenda. And this is requests and items to be discussed by the Human Resources Director, Jackie Figueroa. Jackie?
Sure. I just have my report on my tracking of the notice of intent to fill. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. And I did not provide exit interview termination report this month, just due to the timing of when my agenda items, I think were due on the 21st or the 22nd. So it was pretty early in the month to do for June. So I'll have that for next month.
Next board meeting or next personnel meeting.
Yeah.
Any questions for Jackie about that? B is a discussion of regarding the recommendation of the Health Insurance Working Group for Health Insurance Broker. The working group is recommending to renew the contract with Marshall and Sterling. There was three companies that met the criteria of the RFP, and they were the lowest cost, and also with their experience from several years now, seems prudent to stay with them. That was the recommendation of the 3 people that I think, Mr. Moore, I think Jackie, and I think our treasurer reviewed these. So that was their recommendation. I think we do, yeah. Okay, we have a resolution introduced by Supervisor Conover to continue with Marshall and Sterling. Do we have a second? We have a second by Supervisor Runyon. Discussion. Yes, Supervisor Bramer.
Thank you, Chairman. Did you say that you reviewed those as well?
I did not.
You did not?
Not be prior to the recommendation, no.
Okay.
I do have the breakdown here.
Is it in our packet? Sorry.
Any other
No, we
discussion? If not, then I'm going to call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay. Number 4 is requests and items to be discussed by the county attorney. Mr. Elman, Mr. Williger is setting in for Mr. Elman today. And A is a request for an appropriation of funds in the amount of $50,000 from the general fund unappropriated surplus to cover the cost of the $50,000 insurance deductible for the matter of Quester French versus Derek Williams. Would assume this is a referral to finance. Someone care to move this forward? Moved by Supervisor Runyon. Seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Discussion. I believe this is the deductible payment of our
Right.
insurance. Yes, Supervisor Beatty.
You should, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Should we go in executive session to discuss this, or I'm not familiar with this Quester French versus Derek Williams case. So, we're approving 50,000, but me personally, I'm not that familiar with this case, so I'd like to have just a little basis or a little foundation. If you can say that in open session, that's great. If it has to be in executive session, I understand that too.
It's a case that's resolved now in the case that filed pleadings and those kind of papers would be public information anyway. It's a case of Derek Williams was an officer in the Warren County Jail, and he was accused in a civil case here by Quester French, who was an inmate at the jail, of attacking him and beating him up. And Mr. French brought a case against the county and against several officers, Derek Williams, one of them, and a few others. The case was dismissed as against the county and the officers. However, the county has a liability for Mr. French under the doctrine of respondeat superior, being that the county was the employer of Mr. Williams at the time. And the insurance company settled, I think the amount was 102,000 or so. The insurance settled for, and the county's share of it is the deductible on it. Been an employee, he's no longer employed, as I understand it. Sheriff's Office, and this is a settlement that was made by the insurance company, attorneys that representing the county through the insurance. County share of it is the $50,000 deductible. And again, it's for liability for Mr. Williams, and it's the county being responsible through the doctrine of respondeat superior that we were the employer of him, and so the county is responsible for its employees' actions.
Thank you, Robert. Wait, what year was this incident? I'm just curious.
Cannot recall offhand. I know I became aware of it last year after Mary Cassane left, and I became more privy to some of these cases at the time against the county. So it probably was from the 2019, 20. It's been going on at least a couple of years.
Okay, thank you. That was very thorough. Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? B is review of the proposed draft local law concerning amending Warren County Ethics and Disclosure Law. Two options have been provided, option A and option B.
Chairman?
I will say that my internet was out, so I didn't get these until late last evening. So I did read the original local law, but so somebody's going to have to explain what option A and option B is to me. Supervisor Bramer.
I'd like to make a motion that we go with option B, and I'll tell you why. I worked pretty hard on this last year, and we did have Robert helping and going through this at the time. Nonetheless, the county attorney found some errors, so they do need to be corrected, and they have to do with the beginning part, which is in the definition of the municipality, and then later in the back when we define the members of the board. So if you go to, I'm going to refer you to option B. The red line version will help you. And you skip on to section 20, which is on page 8. In the old law last year, which is the way it had been for a long, long time, and we kept it that way, 3 members, a 3-member board of ethics. So we had, we wanted to keep it so that there would be a county employee on, but you also have to have a member of the public. And then we had another person on who ended up, in this instance, being a member of a municipality within Warren County, which includes school boards. And we looked at that question last year, but anyway, it turns out we can't have a majority of the members of the board being Warren County employees, and that includes not only us as Warren County, but any of our municipalities, which includes school boards. So we can't have a majority of that. So one of the suggestions that was that we discussed, not here at committee, I am asking that the board support 5 members instead of just 3. So we won't be breaking the majority of the people being a Warren County municipal employee, but we'll still be able to have at least 1, maybe 2 people from Warren County on the Board of Ethics, because I think it's important that there's someone on there who does kind of understand the internal mechanism of Warren County versus, the towns don't often know exactly what's going on inside Warren County government. So this is changing it so that it will be a 5-body board. I think that will also help with quorum issues, because when you have 3, right, and if 2 people can't make it, you can't have a meeting. So anyway, in this instance, it'll say 1 of the 5 members shall be an employee of Warren County. 1 shall be an elected officer of a municipality. So that can be anything in Warren County, any of our municipalities. And the remaining 3 then will all be members of the public who are not employees of any Warren County, quote unquote municipality. So I'm advocating for 5. I'd like to see the committee support this option. And I will point out the other option that I asked Larry Ellman to include is this language at the end, which says the Board of Ethics shall be a public body as defined by public officers law and comply with the requirements of the open meetings law. I did a bit of research on the Committee on Open Government website, and it seems clear to me that Board of Ethics are a public body subject to open meetings law. There's been some discussion about that at the Board of Ethics, and I think Mr. Ellman said he was going to try to go seek an opinion from Committee on Open Government, but he said if we put this language in, then it'll be clear. They will be subject to open meetings law. That just means they have to notice their meetings and open them in public, and then they can go into executive session to discuss matters to, of a particular individual. So I'd like to make that as a motion for option B, Chairman.
Okay, well, we have a motion to move option B forward.
I'll second that.
We have a second by Mr. Beatty. So discussion on option B, again, I guess I would ask the attorney to explain what is that all the changes, what Supervisor Bramer outlined, or basically 3 to 5?
Those are the changes, 3 to 5, and then it would be, I think, application of the definition in the beginning here of a municipality in the definitions as well. There are 3D, the municipality definition is expanded upon and explained and elaborated a little bit more fully.
Okay.
So 3D and E in it here in option B has municipal expanded definition of that. And then section 20 under the Board of Ethics with A, the description there for 5 members and clarifies the confusion of reading it as the or is really more of a conjunctive and not disjunctive in terms of the members of the board. The majority shall not be members of Warren County or municipality. In the old language, it could be read as disjunctive, that a majority would not be from the county. Likewise, a majority would not be from the municipality, but could a majority be from the county and the municipality? It was not necessarily that clear, and that was really reminiscent of the state language too, in the state law on it. This clarifies that so that I think it says it more clearly. We have 5 members, and a majority of them must be, say, members of the public, not a Warren County officer, employee, and they must also not be a member of an officer, an employee of a municipality within the county.
Yes, question, discussion on option B.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I fully agree with Supervisor Bramer. Going to 5 then makes getting a quorum much easier than 3, obviously. That's simple math. And being advertising that it's an open public meeting, laws following that makes total sense to me. It's kind of interesting. Just this week, I had 2 people, 2 residents come up to call me, actually. One came up to me, he saw me out, and another one called me, wanted to know where we were on the ethics board, because there was an opening. They had put in their applications, they had done everything, they hadn't heard back a word. So they were saying, well, what's the deal, supervisors? Have we filled it? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? So my point is, there's interest out there, okay? This is 2 people. There may be a lot more, but there's 2 people who came, said they'd like to participate on the ethics board. So there's interest out there in the community to be, to do their civil duty, which is to volunteer for boards like this. So I don't think going to 5 will be an issue. In fact, I see a lot of positives coming out of that. So I fully support Chairwoman Bramer's amendments or option B.
Appreciate that.
I mean,
Upgraded.
you've just been upgraded, Supervisor, to Chairwoman.
Mr. Conover?
So, a question for Mr. Jordan, so option A.
Speak into the mic, please.
So I was looking at the attorney. So option A would be to stay at 3, in which case 2 people would have to be from the private sector. 1 would either have to be the appointed individual, or a town supervisor. Was that what option A?
Yes, that's option A.
Okay, and so, but a quorum, and a quorum in that instance would require two of the three. In which case, that could be a municipal official or an elected official and a private person. Under option B, you have 5, a quorum would be 3, correct? And it could be any composition of the 3. It could be the elected official, the appointed official, and one private person.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Supervisor Stroh.
Just so there's a microphone, I agree with 5, but I think the composition should not be county employees. County employees are gonna feel compromised by a lot of the accusations that I've seen. They shouldn't be your friends. They should be 5 independent people who would not be compromised by county board decisions. So I think these 5 should not be, again, people whose decisions they might feel would come back to harm them because the Board of Supervisors has control over their lives and livelihoods. I just think that we should have 5 people, and they should all be independent as much as possible. And again, they shouldn't be your friends.
Yes, go ahead.
That's an interesting point raised by Supervisor Stroud on it. There was actually one of the commentators on this subject, a fellow named Mark Davies, who was on the state commission back in the late 80s, early 90s for revamping New York State's ethics code on it. He has come out and said, you really ideal scene would be not to have anyone from the government on your board of ethics. However, the state law does require someone, General Municipal Law, Section 808, in Section 1, where it talks about that the Board of Ethics shall consist of at least 3 members, a majority of whom shall not be officers or employees of such county or municipalities, wholly or partially located in the county, and at least one of whom shall be an elected or appointed officer or employee of the county or a municipality located within such county. So the state law is actually requiring us to have at least one member of the Board of Ethics being an elected or appointed officer or employee of the county or of a municipality located within the county. So we're required to do that, even though some of the people who are experts in this matter say the best practice would be not to have someone from the municipality be on the board. We're actually required to do it. But that was an interesting point that Supervisor Stroud made, independently of what some of these commentators have said. It's really not the best practice, but we kind of have to do it.
Supervisor Beatty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, those 2 individuals that I talked to are private sector, and I just assumed we were going to go private sector more. That's the common sense, logical choice, in my opinion, is to make it as much private sector, non-affiliated elected officials as the law dictates. The law does dictate that we shall have to have one, and that's fine. But I'm a firm believer in private sector, independent individuals. And again, those two people reached out to me just this week were both such people, private, independent. Thank you.
Mr. Conover.
Yeah, so if Mr. Terwilliger, if I'm hearing you correctly, this could also read 5 members, 4 of which from the private sector, and 1 of which, in order to comply with the state law, could be either an appointed or elected official of the county. Am I understanding you correctly on that?
Correct. The state law, Section 808 of the General Municipal Law, requires that at least one member of the Board of Ethics shall be an elected or appointed officer or employee of the county or the municipality within the county. So it's at least one.
So to go to the previous point that I made and to follow on what Mr. Beatty is saying is that if you really want to privatize this more, you would make it 4 from the private sector and the 1 to comply with the state law, not And my only comment here would be that, not that would be an issue, but that the potential exists that you could have a quorum of three people, two of which are governmental employees. That's my point. So if you made it one,
I understand the math.
Supervisor Bramer.
I guess I hear that point and I'm not too opposed to it. I do think that this is an okay way to go because the two government officials, one would be Warren County, is us, and the other one would be a town person. So they're not, someone from another town, Hague, they're not gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be a problem.
because I mean,
I want to make one more comment while I have the floor, please, Chairman. That's okay.
Go ahead.
Last year when we asked for interviews for candidates who were interested, we did get a lot of people from the public. So I think if we put that out there and we need more, we'll have plenty of people who are really interested in serving the county and would do a great job. The people who interviewed were very sincere and did a very nice job interviewing. We just picked the people who we thought would match the categories the best. We had one who also was interested in serving on the ARPA committee as a public member. So that person went to that side rather than this committee, but maybe we can look at all of the members of the public again. And just one more note on the conflicts issue. Right now, we have alternate members who can step up if any person has a conflict. They recuse themselves and the alternate steps up. So it's not going to be, right now, hopefully it wouldn't be an issue. And with 5, I think that'd be even more of a resolution, any sort of conflict when a person needs to recuse for whatever reason. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Conover.
but what I'm not hearing from you is the difficulty you have with having it 4 private and 1 public as opposed to 3 private and 2 public. And I guess what I'm saying is that
I don't have a problem.
if you have no problem with that, then and then maybe my way of asking it is what's the advantage of the 2 public as part of the 5 as opposed to 1 public? But is there an
I think-
advantage to that?
May I, Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I think the advantage is that if we only go with 1 public, that public person could be someone from Hague who may not know anything about Warren County government. Maybe that's great, but maybe it's not the best. I think it's still valuable to have at least one person who is an employee of Warren County.
So
If we switch it to the way you want it,
No, I'm saying
it
I
wouldn't
wanna-
necessarily be that way,
I'm
or
not
the way
sure.
you're,
Yeah, I'm just trying to
debating.
analyze this.
Yeah.
What you're saying is that you see advantage to having some public, 2 public persons involved on the 5 as opposed to just 1.
I do.
That was my question.
Supervisor Beatty.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would hope that we put in some type of language that we wouldn't terminate someone in the current format, but as openings became available, that they are filled from the private sector. I think it sends a wrong message that we terminate someone to change to our new, maybe we can't even do that. Maybe it's a moot point. I'll ask Mr., if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I'll ask our county attorney. We can't terminate a current ethics board member just because we change to a new format, can we? I guess that's my question. I
Well,
wouldn't want to have to do that.
to follow up on what Mr. Beatty's saying, I do believe I saw some opinion from our county attorney that we would have to disband the current Board of Ethics. Are we just amending the law, or do we have to repeal the law we have now and introduce this one again? I guess I'm a little not straight on that.
As I understand it from the county attorney too, that we would be in a sense constituting a new board of ethics by passing the new law. So the individuals that would on it presently now on the board of ethics, if they wanted to be and they wanted to apply and the board wanted to select them to be on the board of ethics, could do so, but that it would be a new board with, in this case, if the board decides to go with 5 members, it would be 5 members on it. And it would be, as I say, a reconstituted Board of Ethics, not just adding new members to the existing board.
So do we have to introduce this local law and repeal the one that's currently in place, or is that not necessary?
I believe we'd be amending the current local law.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Mr. Beatty?
So we'd be amending the current local law. So that, would that lead to some members being terminated?
In the meantime, I'm reading from the opinion, well, I'm not reading from the opinion, I'm paraphrasing. That the current Board of Ethics is not legally constituted under state law. So we will amend it. And during the pendency of the process that it takes to amend it, I would say the Personnel Committee appointed the current members of the Board of Ethics, and I would think it would be appropriate for the Personnel Committee to make the decision as to the future membership of the Board of Ethics. I've polled the current members to see who is interested in staying on. And I can share that information with anybody who would like to know. Not all of them want to stay on, but some of them do. And it would be my recommendation to allow them to stay on. I think they've all done a good job.
Yes, Chairman Garrity.
Yeah, I keep hearing that you need somebody in government. An ethics complaint is an ethics complaint. You should base it on facts, not where they serve. If it's 5 people that from the community who want to listen to a complaint, they're going to get the facts. So I think whether they come from Hague or Warrensburg or Queensbury or Gonzales shouldn't make a bit of difference on an ethics complaint. You should base the information on an ethics complaint on what is presented to the committee. So I don't really see the need to have a government official on it or know how government works.
Any
Other
other?
than what the attorney said.
I would say we were told we have to have at least one.
Right.
And I'm saying I think it would be beneficial to have two, so that we have a balance between a county government employee and some other municipality of Warren County government employee.
And that's,
There's still going to be a person in the public. I mean, all these people, live here, are part of our communities.
that's the question before the committee. So unless there's further discussion, I'm going to see if we want to move it forward to the Board of Supervisors. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Option B it is. Okay, 4C. This is a request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to create and fill the new position of third assistant county attorney. Annual salary of $65,295 and delete the position of tax coordinator, which is an annual salary of $47,417, and it would be effective on June 18th. Introduced by Supervisor Conover. Seconded by Supervisor Runyon. Discussion. Yes.
I mean, I think we're revisiting this matter. I supported it the last time. I think it's a good move. I think if it's an attorney in that office, so they not only take care of the work associated with the facts of business, but they also have vacancies in the office or anything else that comes up. I know that meets with the recommendation of the county administrator and it meets with the recommendation of the department head, or wouldn't be in front of us.
Right. Mr. Beatty?
Yeah, I opposed this last time and I'll oppose it again. I'm not for expanding county government. I think we're the second largest employer in the county now, maybe the third. And to expand positions, add new positions and so forth. I'm just not for that type of thought process. So, we've gone from a county attorney to one assistant, now two assistants, now they want a third assistant. And I'm just, I'm opposed to this, so I'll be voting no.
Any other discussion on the request? Yes, Supervisor Runyon.
I think obviously if they're proposing a third assistant, the workload would necessitate that. Is that why it's being done?
Well, I think this assistant's going to be doing the tax foreclosure process. I would assume. I don't.
This assistant, excuse me, would pick up the duties of the individual who, excuse me, the coffee went down the wrong way. I get emotional when I talk about the county attorney's office. That would be doing the duties of the individual who departed, but also the workload throughout the year is enough to justify another attorney. One thing that has happened, I addressed it this morning with the department heads. Larry has become a trusted resource for these departments and as well as supervisors. And the request for legal opinions is much more than it used to be. And there are other areas as well where the office is doing more work than it has traditionally done.
Mr. Conover?
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, a position is being abolished. and A position being created. So in terms of actual bodies in the office, it's not an additional body, it's an additional person with expanded abilities.
Supervisor Bramer?
To that point of the deletion, did they propose a deletion of that last time or were they keeping it in?
Yes, they
Oh,
did.
they had, okay.
Anything else from the committee? Mr. McGowan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, on one of the pages, there is a description. If anybody would like to read it, of what the attorney's description and what's going to entail. I believe before, when it was turned down, there was another, they were trying to get two hires, and I believe that it was a combination of the both that really why it got turned down at the board. But coming back and understanding this, it is a part-time position, if I'm correct, with the abstracting in the title, who is retiring. And so furthermore, we're taking that part-time and then we're adding an attorney on that's going to be doing the abstractions and titles reviews and that, along with helping out the attorney's office. So, I mean, I agree with Supervisor Beatty on not making government bigger, but I know the attorney's office with things that are just getting more complicated every day, and I just like to make sure that we're covered in our attorney's department to make sure that things don't get overlooked. Mr. Twilliger, brought up earlier with the property cleanups and the walking away. These are things that why we need to be on top of these things so we can move quicker, and I believe this would be beneficial to the county. So thank you.
Anything else? Yes, Supervisor Runyon.
I also noticed on the resolution request form that the date is July 18th, not June.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that was the original date. So, yes.
Yeah, just the question that was asked, the request form states that the list any position of departments are being deleted. They're deleting the grade A tax coordinator position, 47,417.
Correct.
And what they're doing is they're asking for the third assistant attorney at 65,295. That's the request that's in front of us.
If there's no other discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed. Mr. Beatty. Okay, and 4D is the review of the draft Warren County travel and education and vehicle use policy. Has this been amended since the last time we looked at this?
You know the answer to that, Robert?
Let's see what was amended. Headline changes, so I don't know.
Let me do a quick check here. Sorry, it didn't. What is in the packet yet?
Two B in the motor vehicle rules. Volunteers. Vehicles, except volunteers having interns, unpaid interns was crossed off, and it was valid New York State driver's license of the authorized operator. That was one modification of it. Under the motor vehicle use section.
Yeah, I don't believe it's been further modified. I think if it had been further modified, the piece that had been brought up was 9, and I don't see a modification there. So my assumption is that it has not been further modified.
So do we have a motion from the committee to move this forward? Introduced by Supervisor Runyon. Seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Discussion. Supervisor Bramer.
The reason we have not passed this already, we were asked to change this, I don't know, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, about the $500 issue. And the committee agreed to make that change, to make it a little bit easier for people to have the travel approvals faster. Then this item 9, which was referred to by our county administrator, was plopped in, which has to do with county supervisors and our travel, and also paragraph 7. I'm sorry, 6. And that never came through committee before, and it appeared, I understand that, you know, there are certain people on the administrative team who want to see this added. I don't want to see this added. I don't think that we should be having to go to the chair to ask for approval for job-related educational opportunities. The way it works right now, as I understand it, if we want to go and it's in the budget for the supervisors, we take, you know, we talk to each other and we go.
So you're talking
And I'm
about,
not that, I mean, if we want to report it to the Board of Supervisors through the clerk, all of our training and education and travel, fine, but let's make it all of it, everything we put in for reimbursement. I ask for reimbursement from time to time, and I'm sure that's foiled. We're gonna start reporting this stuff up through Amanda on a whatever monthly basis, then let's make it all of it. But I would prefer that we just strike 6 and 9 and move forward with the $500 thing that we were asked to approve months ago.
yes,
I can speak, I think, as to why 6 and 9 were drafted the way they were. 6, it's been I believe we had a couple of, so if it's NISAC, that's exempted in the policy. There are certain exemptions where a travel form is not required. But there, I believe when it came to NACO, if memory serves, last year, we did a travel form. In the past, that would have gone to a full board vote. And I believe we've done a couple of travel forms this year for supervisor travel that does not involve NISAC. And under the current procedure, I would sign off on it. Amanda first would sign off on it as the department head. I would sign off on it as county administrator. And then the I believe, is it the budget chair? No, who is it now? The chair, no, I mean, for any, what is the third? I should know this. I only signed my portions.
So right now, the way we do it is just, you said, I would fill it out as department head, you sign it as county administrator and the chairman.
Oh,
of
the
board.
committee chair, the
No,
committee
not
chair.
the committee chair, the chairman of the board signs for all.
That's,
supervisor and
yeah,
travel.
as it pertains to Board of Supervisor travel, we've treated the committee chair as the chair of the Board of Supervisors. And I think there was an example last year where the travel form was for the chair of the Board of Supervisors and we had the finance chair sign it, I think. Does that ring a bell, Doug? So that was, as a matter of course, when Amanda and I are going to give our approvals, we're going to do whatever the chairman of the board wants to do. So that's why it was written in here. Just take Amanda and I out because it's essentially a stamp as to whatever the chair wants to do and have the chair of the board serve as the department head. And that's the only one who needs to sign it. If you don't want to do it that way, that we could do it a different way. In terms of number 9, that was an attempt to, we have disclosure of all the other travel to the committee that the department reports to. And that was an attempt, I think, to try to mirror that for supervisor travel. If we don't want to do it at the Board of Supervisors meeting, we could have Amanda do it at the personnel meeting, or we could not do it. So it's really the board's pleasure as to what we do with those 2 sections.
Mr. Conover?
Yeah, I've never known it to be an issue, but for those that I guess can speculate, I guess what I would say is, other than no process, what's the recommendation for a process? You see what I'm saying, Claudia? In other words, any supervisor can go where they want, do what they want at whatever
That's-
amount, and that it's automatically, there's no evaluation made in terms of the budget. There's no evaluation made by anybody at any time. I mean, I think that this is about as minimal as I think you can get in terms of just having somebody say, yeah, I'm fine. I think that's relates to the county. But I've never known it to be an issue. But perhaps you can enlighten us, perhaps it has been.
No, thank you, Chairman. We are elected officials, and I think county law says that I can do job-related things. Let's say an EDC luncheon, it costs $25 or whatever. Sometimes I put in for reimbursement for that. Am I now gonna have to go to the chair or the chairwoman and say, could I please have permission to go to the EDC lunch and get that reimbursed by the county? May I please get reimbursement for having driven to, Washington County for one of the local government review board meetings? Am I going to have to ask, NACO? Yes, that could be different, and maybe we need to ask for permission from the full board to go. And so I think we've done that in the past. These supervisors 1, 2, 3 have time in their schedules. They want to go. We have the budget. Let's send them. And there's a board resolution to that effect.
I think
I guess- wait.
it's over the $500 though, isn't it? I mean, if it's under $500, it doesn't come into play, right? Isn't that what the whole purpose of this is? So if you're, a luncheon or a local government review or, those type of, I don't see where that's a problem at all.
And what is going to be our process then if the chair of the board decides, no, I can't have reimbursement for that? Are we going to have an appeal process?
If meetings is beyond that amount, it's probably something that's scheduled. I suppose we could even have a resolution come to the board. So you don't even have to concern about one person. You could bring the resolution. Let's say you need to go to Washington. Let's just pick, you need to go to Washington for something. It's plane fare and everything is hotel is $1,200. I suppose we could introduce that to the board. It's not like something that you're going to do a week in advance. It's something. So you wanted to put the travel beyond a certain amount requires the approval of the board. I mean, I can support that. I can support the chairman because I think administratively the responsible thing is going to be done. It's never been an issue. But if we want to create a check that's beyond one individual. I'm not sure any request has been made if the chairman has come with a pretty please.
So it hasn't been an issue. We get everything. I didn't say that. It hasn't been an issue.
Right. So what I'm saying, if you're.
Anybody puts in for
I'm trying to
anything and it gets
respond to your
approved.
Concern, which is, well, suppose I want to bring it to the board. Maybe you could put that language in there. Any request beyond the $500 is just approved by the chairman can be taken to, will be taken to the board for approval. So you can modify the language if you want. And that's what we're here for.
Chairman,
I'm trying to
Yes,
get
if that's
you to
what, if
where-
we want to do that, then that, yes, I would ask for that amendment. And also for 9, to be clear that any reimbursements for county supervisors, which cost, so we would do this when, at the end of the year? That would be my amendment, that any travel authorizations, education-related reimbursement, expense reimbursement, all of that be reported to the county Board of Supervisors in the first quarter of the following year.
Chairman Garrity.
I don't understand the problem. We turn in receipts when we travel. When we used to travel, we were stopped from going to certain luncheons a few years back where they weren't deemed to be part of our jobs. So we stopped putting in for that. And we pay out of our own pocket. So I don't know why, what is this change about?
I don't know either.
I mean, you gotta turn in receipts. We don't
Right.
pay per diem. We're not the federal government where they'll pay you X number of dollars, whether you spend the money on food or not. We don't do it that way, or at least we didn't do it that way. I can't say how you do it. Now you turn in a receipt. Once you travel, you always got approval to travel before you went. So what's changing?
It's changing in that it's now saying the chair of the board shall be the approval authority. That doesn't happen right now. I'm not making any characterizations. I'm just saying we're adding a layer of procedure that doesn't exist right now.
Supervisor Beatty, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I agree with Supervisor Bramer. I'd like to see a full accounting each year, maybe in the first quarter. I know supervisors take mileage to go to award banquets and turn in award banquet dinner receipts and so forth. I personally don't do that and never would. But I think for the sake of transparency, I think the taxpayer needs to know who puts in for mileage to go to award banquets where they have no function from a county standpoint. And then put in for the dinner receipt and so forth. I think that's knowledge, that's information that the residents, whether they want to know it or not, have a right to at least have it there. If they want to react to it, fine. If they don't, fine. But I would fully support all expenses turned in from every supervisor be reported to the full board each year. And if we need more detail on it, that's fine. I definitely think details, but that's where I stand on that. So.
Can I, Chairman, may I weigh in here?
Yes, Supervisor Hogan, and then we need to,
I'll be quick. I believe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that part of this issue was coming up because the auditor was kicking back expenses after the fact. I think that's why this discussion is before us now, in part. So I think there was some need for definition to help the auditor do her job better as well.
thank you. Mr. Conover?
Yeah, if Ms. Kramer wants to introduce an amendment to say that all travel expense beyond $500 will be approved by the board, I'll support that. As opposed to approved by the chairman. I'll support that. I don't see a problem with the chairman, but if you want to make it the full board, I'm good with that.
Okay, I would do that. That's for number 6.
And then you could
I don't
strike
know who
number
made-
9.
Yeah, did you make the motion? I can't remember who.
Supervisor Runyon made the motion and Supervisor Frazier second.
Okay. If they don't mind, if we need a vote on the proposal that,
So you wanted to read shall be the full board? of
yeah,
Instead of the chair.
and that's only for travel over $500. Right. Okay. And we're striking 9?
Yeah, you wouldn't need that because if you're gonna vote on that in public.
Oh,
it's
well,
already
no, yeah,
disclosed,
okay,
And to strike 9.
okay. Are you ladies okay?
Yes. I'm okay.
Thank you.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on on this policy?
So are we gonna, they'll have a full accounting from the mileage standpoint and so forth each year?
No.
No.
I'm being told that the auditor does that report yearly.
Well, could we have the auditor then
And
give that
report.
report to the full board?
I think it,
There it is.
I think it
You
is.
Send it out and it's in the annual proceedings.
There we go.
Could
There we
we,
go.
could we have her, and she does that in front of the committee?
No, it-
Okay, could we have her go to the committee with her once a year, full findings?
Yeah, or,
There's a lot of things that get
by the
sent
end of
out. There's a
January,
lot of
we
things
have-
that get sent out from the from the departments if that go, that 99% of the supervisors never see.
It's posted on the county website.
Just have her make her
Can you-
form of
yeah,
presentation, be
or
fine.
at least send an email to when it comes out that you do that already.
Well, she sent it to us, so when I get it, I will bring it to the personnel.
I would probably submit that probably 18 out of 20 supervisors don't even know when it comes out or have seen it, so.
Okay, one more time, Chairman Garrity.
Just real quick, so you send out a report, and does that mean that if somebody objects to what's on the report, we're gonna make people pay it back? Is that what the point is, or is it just the point to see who's taking travel money?
I think the point is so the taxpayers don't get a full transparency. That's as
We're
simple as that.
accountable to the people who elect us.
That's as simple as that.
So it's just a.
Transparency thing.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, I'm going to call the question on moving this policy forward with the amendments to number 6 to change from approval authority of the chair of the board. For any expense over $500, the approval will come from the Board of Supervisors. And we are going to strike item 9, item B9. Make sure I get the right category here. From the policy. Do I have that correct? Okay. I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, number 5 is referrals from the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee chaired by Supervisor Jirashi. The Public Defender's Office, Greg Canali, the Public Defender. A is a request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to decrease the salary of the 9th Assistant Public Defender from $74,089 to $71,988. And that's effective retroactive to June 20th.
Chairman, should I move A5 through D? Or maybe I'll just do 5 through C.
Okay.
5 through A through C.
Okay, everybody has the agenda. So B is the 6th Assistant Public Defender to decrease the salary and fill the position. And C is to create and fill a new position of legal clerk 3 and delete 2 positions. A legal clerk 3, grade 5, and the investigator. So we have a motion to do A, B, and C of number 5. We have a second from Supervisor Frazier. Any discussion on any of those 3? Yes, Mr. Beatty.
Yeah, I'm a little confused on D.
Or we're not.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're not.
We're gonna do that next.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, any other discussion? Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? 5D, this is a request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule and decrease the salary of the confidential secretary position from 50,607 to 46,894 at 32 hours per week and fill the vacant position effective July 18th, 2022.
Motion.
Moved by Supervisor Runyon. Was that a second, Mr. Beatty, or
Not yet. I have a question.
seconded by Supervisor Kramer? Discussion. Mr. Beatty.
Okay, so I need some explanation on this. So it looks like we're going to take the confidential secretary position from 50,000 down to 46,000 to 32 hours. So I'm assuming that they're going to go from 5-day work week to 4-day work week. And which confidential secretary is this? Is that
It's the public defenders
from
confidential.
public defenders? But if we lighten the workload of 20%, wouldn't it make sense that the 20% of the salary of 50,000, which is 10,137, be decreased appropriately? I mean, so we're taking 20% less work week, but we're not decreasing the pay 20%.
Right.
So that doesn't make a lot of financial sense to me.
I believe this is Mr. Canale's secretary that's
Yeah.
worked with him for years. And I think this is an effort to get her to a pay scale that she is accustomed to. And without, it doesn't fit into the position. So in order to do that, reduce the hours. That was the explanation I got. So
It's also her current schedule. She currently works 4 days a week.
any other discussion? If not, I'm going to call the question on 4D or sorry, 5D. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. Supervisor Beatty. Number 6 is a referral from the Economic Growth and Development Committee chaired by Supervisor Wild. Planning and Community Development, Wayne Lamoth. That's a request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to create and fill the new position of Assistant County Planner 2, annual salary of $63,711, effective July 5th.
Make that motion.
Moved by Supervisor Frazier, seconded by Supervisor Conover. Discussion, Supervisor Bramer.
I just have to point out that haven't we seen this a time or two before?
I have,
Yes, we
this
have.
is probably the third time. I would think. Maybe we should raise the salary,
Yes,
jack it up to 75,000.
I'll make that motion to amend.
This is a non-union position, so we'll have the ability to do that based on who we can recruit for it.
In all seriousness, I think in order to get this to go through the board, does this now include the deletion of the other position?
I don't see that.
I think we need to seriously consider that.
If that's the position that the board wants to take, Wayne can live with that.
I would like us to amend then.
Okay, but
Let me see, does it say? Being deleted, none at this time. No, I think we've got to change that.
okay, so you're willing to move this forward with the deletion of the
I'm willing to move it forward, but I don't see
the
how
senior.
anything's going to change if we don't make a change.
senior planner, I think it was.
Yes.
Are you interested in raising the salary? I was serious about it.
I would be too. I would be interested in the county administrators.
Let me get you the range. I'm
Thoughts on
pulling it
that?
up- Pulling it up right now. The range would be, excuse me. Okay. 63,711 is the entry. and the range goes all the way up to 83,150. So we got plenty of room on that scale based on who we can recruit to give them what they, and we would advertise it the same way as a tourism director, that the range of pay is this, commensurate with experience.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Just leave it at the range.
Just leave it, yeah, for the range.
Supervisor Conover?
Yeah, I mean, I'll support the, if it's an amendment by Supervisor Bramer. I think the initial proposal is to try to provide as much flexibility as possible to our department. But the process for recreating the position and funding it and doing everything that we have to do is probably not much more onerous than remain part of the organizational structure, coming back and funding it and going through all of that anyway. So if Wayne can live with it, I can support the amendment. I think we'll second the amendment by Supervisor Bramer. Deleted in the hopes that it garners the support. I think it's important. I agree with Supervisor Bramer. It's an important position. It's one that we really need to have. So that's what it takes. See where it's that huge a handicap to do that way. We're basically doing it longhand, but so we'll do it longhand.
Okay, the resolution before us then is to create and fill this position with a range from 63,711 to 83,150, and to delete the senior planner position. Okay, just so we're clear. Yes, Mr. McGowan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I believe we've seen this a couple times. It was we didn't get a taker for that $50,000 range, so they decided to create this other position with a little higher salary. So I am okay with putting in that range there. My question was deleting the $50,000 position, so you didn't have, you know, $112,000 in there. You know what I'm saying, or whatever the amount would be. Deleting the 50,000 and creating the senior planner 65 to vice versa, so we could find a candidate, because we didn't get a candidate for the didn't even get one application for the cheaper amount. I believe that's what correct me if I'm wrong, is the reason this was in. So, and it didn't pass before because no one wanted to drop the other one, you know, 100 the lower amount, $1,000.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Diamond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once the interviewing process is completed, if the range is 60 to 85,000,
Didn't even get one application for
transfer out of the fund balance in order to maintain or pay this particular position? Or is the money going to come out of the current budget that you have, that we've adopted?
Yeah, I think it could come out of the current because the senior planner is funded. So,
Okay.
and it's not been filled. So there's, you know, 25,000 there anyways. So I would defer to Wayne. Mr. Lamoth is on the screen if you would like to comment where the money would, if we hire this person at 83,000, where are you going to get the money?
Well, currently, because we have the senior planner slot unfilled, there's enough funding in the .1s to handle that. I would caution, though, that there is an existing assistant county planner that if we bring in somebody without a lot of it or a commensurate experience, that we at least would have to reassess the existing assistant county planner's salary, in all fairness. The original intent here was to keep both positions, only fund one, and advertise for both again and see who we could get. And as I brought up at committee, there are 13 plus job openings on the Upstate American Planning Association job site that all pay, well, all but one would pay more than that 63,711. And they've been there for a while, so people are not filling positions. So we have to be competitive in the marketplace in order to attract talent. So I think for this year, we would be fine. There will be some changes in the department staffing level next year that would probably offset any increases in point ones. I mean, I haven't run all those numbers. If we were to say, you know, you went to the high end of the scale. But it's certainly, I think, something we would be close with. But for this year, we would not need any additional funding.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. Okay, did I step on you, Supervisor Frazier? Did you second that motion?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Conover. Are you okay with the changes? All right, then I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry.
May I offer a comment?
Yes.
Supervisor Thomas, I can hear you fine. Some of the committee members, I've got all the volume on my computer turned up to the max and I can barely hear. I don't know if that's people need to speak closer to the mic or not, but it is hard to follow conversations. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Number 7 is referrals from the
Jimmy,
Human Services Committee chaired by Supervisor Driscoll, Countryside Adult Home. Amy McBride, Director. A is a request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to increase the hours of institutional aid number 3 from 32 to full-time effective July 18th, 2022. Introduced by Supervisor Frazier. Seconded by Supervisor Runyon. Any discussion? Yes, Supervisor Bramer.
What is the salary for this person at the full time?
Back of the book here, it's, let's see. Salary. I don't see one.
Perhaps this would be a good time to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss our CSCA negotiations.
No, perhaps it wouldn't be, because we still have a couple more items. 2 or 3 more items here. So we're on 7A.
Well, Chairman,
Yes,
to your point about the county planner's assistant salary being too low, some of these salaries at Countryside are too low.
we understand that.
When are we going to fix them?
We're in the process.
That's why I would like to know where we are in that process in executive session.
Okay, well, we're still on 7A.
I understand.
Yes. Any other discussion about 7A? Yes, Supervisor.
Thank you, Chairman. Just very quickly, and I was on the phone with Amy McBurn yesterday, as well as Tammy DiLorenzo, and at the next rounds of committee meetings, we will be making additional requests to hopefully address the need to do something with the salary structure, but also a creative way to possibly increase the workforce without adding employees to the county. And that's basically a workforce pool similar to what a few other county departments have in place, an office for the aging, health services, and there may be more. But that will be addressed in the next round of committee meetings. Thanks.
Thank you.
I can answer the salary question. Institutional aid is a grade 3 position under the union contract. And the salary for 2022 entry level, 30,373. And it goes up to 40,700.
Could you say it again? The bottom,
the range to base.
grade 3.
Right, grade 3 CSEA contract, 30,373 to 40,700.
Okay, any other discussion on 7A? I'm going to call a question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'm opposed to the salary. I'm opposed.
One opposition. 7B is a request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to change the position part-time food service helper, temporary, to a permanent part-time position effective also July 18th. By Supervisor Frazier, seconded by Supervisor Conover. Any discussion on this request? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Number 8 is a referral from the Legislative Rules and Government Operations Committee, chaired by Supervisor Stroh, and this is the County Clerk's Office. Request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to create and fill the new position of legal recording clerk. Grade 7, base annual salary of $36,414 and delete the position of a recording clerk 1 effective July 18th, 2022. Introduced by Supervisor Frazier. Seconded by Supervisor Runyon. Discussion on this one. Yes, Mr. Beatty.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're deleting the position of recording clerk 1. That job goes away, and now we're creating a new position for legal recording clerk, grade 7. So is the reason why we're deleting one and adding another one is just because of a pay issue?
No, it's not pay. I think it's the same salary. It's to make the titles more uniform on the lower entry level of the clerk's office. I guess there's different titles, and she would like to get it more consistent.
Okay.
Same grade, same salary.
Right, same
Okay.
grade, same salary.
All right.
Any other discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 9 is a request from the clerk of the board. And this is a request to amend resolution 31 of 2022, appointing member to the Warren, Washington County's Industrial Development Agency and Civic Development Corporation as amended by resolution number 112 of 2022 to replace Michael Biddle with Juan Gonzalez. He'll be the Washington County representative as requested by the chair of the Warren, Washington County IDA, contingent upon adoption of a similar resolution by the Washington County Board of Supervisors. Introduced by Supervisor Conover, seconded by Supervisor Runyon. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, section 4, pending items. Nothing with SUNY. I don't believe we have an update to the workplace violence policy. We did do number 2. And I don't think we have anything for 3 and 4.
Well, that's going to be very important given what we heard earlier today.
That's very true. Section 5 is the positions approved, authorized for filling by the standing committee in the past month. And we're down to privilege of the floor. That's Supervisor Bramer.
May I have executive session at this time? I'll make that a motion to go into executive session for union negotiation discussion.
Introduced by Supervisor Bramer. Seconded by Supervisor Beatty. We need any other clarification on that?
To discuss union negotiations. It's a separate section
Okay.
of the public officers. Yeah. We'll note which section it is when we do minutes.
Okay.
Section 105.
It's right, yeah. I don't know the paragraph offhand.
Okay, who do we want to attend? Any preference?
Claudia,
I'm sorry, all supervisors is fine.
Okay.
County attorney, county administrator.
We don't have any CSA employees, so anybody in the room is fine with me.
Okay. Call the question
Yeah.
on executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're back in executive session at 11:45.
Thank you, Frank. We can be quick.